everyone, welcome back to our podcast, No More Secrets. As always, I'm your aunt, Mary Albrecht.
And I'm your niece, Katie Albrecht. And everyone, please welcome back Dana Rexx. Do you want to say hi, Dana?
Hi,
so we had her
everybody.
on. We had you on what, last season or something like that. But we had her to talk about an old relationship that was like kind of abusive, narcissistic, and everything.
Surviving a narcissist.
Surviving a narcissist,
yeah.
which is obviously very relevant and a current, I think, theme that people are starting to wake up to in the mental health field. But we also wanted to talk to her again because, I mean, you're so fun to talk to, and we thought with your career of being a musical artist and all the cool stuff that you're doing, that it would be cool to just kind of talk about the mental effects of
being
that
artist.
journey, or just like what that process looks like, and just kind of go from there. Because I think from what I've heard of actors, of singers, of writers, because we understand this, is that it's hard and you face a lot of rejection. And I guess I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. But I guess to start, how did you decide that you wanted to become a singer? Or was it just something that you were kind of like born to do in a way?
Kind of, yes. Well, first of all, it's wonderful to be back. So thanks very much.
Yes,
thanks very
thank
much
you.
for having me. Yeah.
She's in Belgium, by the way. That's hence
She
the
is,
accent.
yes.
Far, far away.
Yet right in front of us because of technology.
Right.
Well,
Anyway, yeah,
music
go on.
for me, I mean, singing has been a large part of my life. I've been singing since I was 5 years old, I think. I think that's around the time that I started to have my own musical tastes and like, oh, I like this and I don't like this and I want to sing this. And so I just started singing, and it's kind of like the music chose me. I know a lot of us are saying that nowadays, but it is true because you just can't not do it and not be in that realm of creation, and I just wanted to surround myself with music all the time, and I started writing my own songs, and then a little bit later in life, when I was 10, because I had started dance classes and everything, and I started to perform on Belgian national TV. And do some things like in a kids choir and on like Top of the Pops. Sometimes they needed like a kids choir. The Top of the Pops in Belgium, it was called Tien om te zien.
Cool.
And they had the kids in the back, and so I was one of them, and it all just spiraled from there. And when I was 16, I decided I wanted to become a DJ because I was into dance music, and my male friends, were DJing at home, and and so I did, and I actually became quite well known in Belgium and Holland as a hardcore DJ, so hardcore house, which is
cool.
totally different as what Dana Rexx does now.
Did your
Hardcore
parents,
sounds fun.
did they support it all the while, like through your teenage years? Your parents?
Yes,
or did they
absolutely
discourage you, like, oh, you can't make any money, that's not a living, it's not stable? None of that?
Well, my mom did encourage me to, do what I wanted to do. Even, the DJing was hard on the house, I guess, because it's very loud. And
I can understand that. Yeah.
yeah, so that was a bit, oh, okay, is she doing that now? Oh, okay. And I was allowed to do that and practice at home, obviously. And then very fast, I got a residency at a club. So that was pretty cool. And this was all when I was still in high school. So I was 17, which is, you're allowed to start working at 18 in Belgium. So I was basically not really allowed to work yet, but they had offered me a contract. So it was possible for parents to sign a contract for you to work at a place, for example. So that's what we did. My mom came with me and she signed the contract. And I was officially working in a club on Friday and Saturday as a resident DJ for a couple of years. Yeah. Wow. And I wasn't even out of high school yet. This was like in my penultimate year. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was interesting. And obviously, I was also singing as well. What I used to like to do was play a song with like only basses or, not too much melody, and then just sing a popular song of the day, of the times, onto that. And people
Oh.
used to love it. Yeah, they used to go crazy on it.
So it sounds like you never like had a plan B, right? Or did you? Or did you have like this was just like the path that you wanted to go on right from the get-go?
It was. But you always get, my mom did say, well, you have to get a real job too.
Right. See, there you go.
Yes,
The real
I
job.
did, make money with that job, but I don't think she saw that as being like a real career path. Like, I'm only
Sure.
gonna do that. I think it was always something that she saw me do on the side as like a glorified hobby, maybe. But obviously, I didn't see it that way. But I did, do other studies, and I studied international business and marketing and sales as well in college. So I
Wow.
had all that. But yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have done something more music school-y, I don't know. But that's not just that's just not how it worked out. Um,
But do you
and
find that
so,
your Oh, sorry.
oh, go
Gonna
ahead.
I was going to ask, do you find that your business degree helps you though? Because I've heard that you have to kind of separate the art and then also like the business side of it. Does it help you with like putting your stuff out there, or is it not useful at all?
Having the marketing background.
Having the business and marketing, yeah.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is, because being an independent artist is great because you can make all of your own decisions, but that's also what makes it so hard, because you
Right.
have to be an expert at everything, because you're basically at the beginning doing everything yourself. And when you're starting out, and then well into the emerging artist stage, you're really on your own, doing your own marketing and social advertising nowadays, and making your own videos or getting your own gigs, networking at music events, and all of that. And definitely, having done international business and also speaking a lot of languages definitely helps me with that. And there's only so much that one person can do. So you end up having all these different hats on with no time to actually write new songs or be creative. And that's kind of where I'm struggling right now to,
Yes.
where is the line between doing all the work outside of the music to get your music to the people and marketing it, and all of these things, as opposed to, when do I have time to actually write new songs?
And it takes a certain amount of energy and space to be creative. So I find if I'm all
Does.
burnt out, like with my fitness business, if I'm all burnt out with paying the bills and organizing the schedules and contacting people
There's
and
no
doing
room
that,
to be creative
then
as
I'm
much, yeah.
tired. Even though I might have some time, I no longer feel like, oh, let me think about a new workout. Let me think about, because you don't have any of that creative energy left because you're tired. And so it takes
Yeah.
a lot of energy to be creative.
That is definitely something that I have too, because your agenda is so full and you've done all the things. And then at 4, you're like, I actually have a little bit of time today. But you can't sit down at 4 and say, okay, I want to write a song until 6:30. You really need to be able to see the whole day empty before you and just go into it. And you might write for just an hour, or you might write for 5. You don't know when you start. And a time constraint is really not a very inspirational space to start writing. So I do feel nowadays that I'm like, oh, I want to write, but right now I just don't, I can't. I don't feel like it now. I'm not in the right headspace. And it gets pushed back a lot. And it's starting to annoy me now. But, I have a solution.
What?
The
What's
solution is
what?
coming.
What is your solution?
Well, I'm just, working on some things right now that I really need to do. And I've decided that I just need to take a couple of weeks that I need to just do that and not think about, I'm not writing, and just
Yeah.
do those things. And then the holidays also are coming up. So, it's there's going to be all of that as well, and the family and everything. So I just said, okay, let's have a deadline of the holidays. and relax during the holidays as well. And then in January,
That's
I
smart.
start writing again.
Very good. Yeah, exactly. And
Scheduled breaks is really important, I think.
then we're starting to do that
yeah.
with our podcast now.
Right.
Whereas before we were just churning them out over and over, and that sometimes you just need to stop, Also, but I do find it's sort of a circular thing because it takes a lot of energy to be creative. But then once I get onto that creative train, then I get more energy. It's like if you catch the right train at the right time, then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, doot doot.
You get going to cool
off you go.
places, yeah.
And so and so sometimes if I'm not being creative enough in my life, I get depressed. I need to do something, even just rearrange the furniture or paint a room or something.
For me, it's just a journal, for 10 minutes. If I'm not even if I do that, it'll help me get back out of like a creative funk.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
And it helps get the thoughts going and stuff.
So what happened after the DJ period of time? Did you do that all through college?
Yeah, I just want to say I have that too. You're like, when you're being creative.
I was like,
Yeah.
Going right to the next one.
go on.
I'm it's you write a song and it doesn't matter if it was like if you deem it a good song in the end or not. It's like, oh, I want to write another one and another one. And once you get into that, so I definitely know that I need time after that to just be on that train, like you say, just ride the train and be creative. And yeah, I actually had a little bit of a burnout situation with all of that, and I just painted my kitchen.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
What
Yep.
color? Important
Blue.
questions. Oh, nice.
But it brings out the creativity, but it's also meditative because you're painting and you can start thinking about other stuff and start churning ideas
Yeah,
while
'cause
you're doing something creative, basically.
You're thinking, but you're not really thinking.
Yeah.
You're just applying,
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to do something that was creative because it's still, painting the kitchen and you still need to, and it's via, it's a design. So I don't just paint a kitchen, obviously.
Oh.
It's a theme.
What?
Oh, you got to put it all together.
We
Yeah.
need pictures.
Yeah, it's a Greek kitchen, so it's like with a Greek sky blue, and the countertops are still all white because I had an all white kitchen from like back in the 80s from this house that I'm living in now, which was horrible. It was a horrible kitchen. And I decided that I wanted to change it, but I've been living in this house for like 10 years or so. I don't know. So I've hated my kitchen for a
10
long
years.
time.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you
And,
had enough. You're like, I got to do
I
this.
had enough.
Yep.
Absolutely. I said, I need to do something creative, but something that, I know that kind of has an end and also
Right.
a result.
Yes.
Yes, results.
Yeah. So I said, okay, kitchen. I mean, the kitchen with all the little cupboards and thingies was probably not like the easiest choice. I could have just chosen a room with just 4 plain walls that was like easier to paint instead of all the cabinets and everything.
Right.
So it did take like a full week to just get the thing on. Also because it was tiles and everything, you can't just paint over tiles with anything. You have to do a specific process, and I got it done. And I'm
it was
putting
probably
in
very
stencils.
satisfying.
It was. Yes.
I totally will. Yeah, and I get that. And people say to me, really, so I got another one of these half moon couches out there, and I decided it was too dark. So I decided to paint it with a paint pen, like a Sharpie, every other little square until it became the color that I wanted it to be. And people are like, really, Mary, your life? And you're like painting with a fucking pen, And I'm like, yes, I need to do this right now.
I filled in some of those squares too.
Yes, she did. She did a very good job. But it got me out of a rut, and it was meditative, and I can
It
look
really
at
does
it now and say, oh, that looks really nice. And it was
Yeah.
worth spending the time because I just didn't want to do anything else at the time. And I was just, feeling like you say, it's something you can accomplish, something that you can finish and be like, okay, I controlled that couch.
I controlled this.
I dominated.
Well,
I dominated the kitchen.
No, I think that's
So
a good
anyway,
point.
Back
I
to
think
your
that's a good-
question, Mary. Sorry,
what's
what was your
next?
question? Yeah.
Just did you DJ all through college?
Oh, yes, right. I did. I did very much so. I even recorded, so well, not recorded, produced. I produced music
Wow.
on records because I used to DJ with actual vinyl records or vinyl. How do you say it?
Vinyl, yeah.
So
Wow.
I started producing as well when I was, when I was like from high school into college, and then in college I started producing, and I released a couple of records, and that was really exciting.
So you produced your own songs, or were you working with someone else doing it?
We were, well, it was with the narcissist. I mean,
Oh, that's
it
right.
was
Because
ironic.
Full circle, yeah.
you met him
Full
DJing,
circle.
right?
Yes, I met him DJing. So he was a
Yes.
DJ too, and that's how we got
Aha.
together. And
Yeah.
we also started producing together fairly immediately after that. And also, so, instead of DJing separately, we had a group name as well. So we DJ'd, we're like a duo. And so, yeah, so that's one good thing that happened, but the rest not
From
so
that.
much.
Yeah. And then when did you, like, what was the progression to becoming a full-time artist, musician, songwriter, singer? Like, did you ever work in the corporate world? Did you try to do a 9 to 5? Like, what all, how did that all evolve?
Yeah, so after college, I studied for um, 4 years in college, and then I started work, and I I started at this really huge advisory place, so like huge corporate world, and it's just a different part of me basically because I do enjoy it. Um, and I do still actually work for clients right now because a couple of years ago I started my own company to be a freelance consultant to the corporate world. And
Nice.
so, yeah, I'm not only a musician and a singer, I'm also freelance consultant in business excellence and process improvement, and specialized in the pharmaceutical industry and also advisory firms. So
Wow.
it's a
Wow.
mouthful.
Yeah.
And
But
also very different ends of the spectrum. Like, I think that's
Very
really
different.
but creative, both of
Yeah.
them.
both are creative, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, definitely have to be creative to problem solve and make things better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's
Absolutely.
neat. What's the name of that business?
Is it named after
The
yourself?
my business is called The Event Addict. So it's
Cool.
all tied in to the same
It's
thing.
all tied in to mental health and mental unhealth and
It's like, what?
Well, it's because I've always done events, and through the DJing, I also started organizing huge music events when I was still in college, like for raves for 5,000 people and things like that. So I've always kind of been in marketing on the event side of things, and so that's kind of the yeah, the vein going through everything, and that's why I called my firm The Event Addict, because I knew that I was, gonna probably be organizing events or doing something around that, which I have. So yeah, I'm kind of specialized in everything in sales and marketing departments, also customer services, but also places where, they organize big conferences like pharmaceutical conferences. Where doctors go to be, schooled in the latest technologies, to see what those are, and how they learn how to work with new machines and stuff. So it's always been events, either in music or any other sector that I've been in.
That's
Yeah,
great.
at
That's really impressive.
PricewaterhouseCoopers, for example, I worked at the employer branding department, where they organize the events to get all the new hires in, all of that stuff. So it's always kind of been events anywhere I went. So it was just logical to have The Event Addict as a name.
I like that, yeah.
and that's still a way to be involved with the business world, but not on a traditional level. Because events, it's
Yeah.
all different hours, it's weekends, it's nights. It's kind of like a musician. It's like an artist. You've
Yeah.
chosen a life where you don't have you don't have to go somewhere from 9 to 5 and then be done.
Even
so
if you're done like hours beforehand or something, yeah. Still there till 5.
Yeah, but it kind of goes together because you're sort of a free bird, and this, you don't mind being up at night. I mean, right now, what is it, 10 o'clock there, and you're on with
It
us,
is.
and we'd be in
asleep. Bed. Yeah.
She,
I'd probably be watching Friends in bed and trying to sleep. Yeah.
In bed by 10? Oh my God, no, that's not possible for me.
is that when you like start sometimes? Like, start sets at 10 or 9 or whatever, and like.
Well, I think I just got conditioned into kind of waking up in the evening because in high school, obviously, I had to go to school and I did all my studies during the week. And then Friday evening, I'm kind of, I have to wake up now because at 10, I have to be at the club because they're opening and I need to do the opening time from 10 to 12. And so it's kind of, it's kind of compartments, like, okay, this is school me, and I'm listening to the lessons, but you're switched on, but you're sitting there and you look at the lessons and you're studying and you're doing your homework, but that's like one part. And then you go into creative mode, and for me that was always in the evening because I start preparing my set, which records am I going to take with me today because it's Friday and I can prepare everything, and then you start going through your records and I'll play this one. What was the song again? Oh yeah. And so it gets exciting, and I think I just conditioned myself to feel like more excited the more the sun goes down. I'm like, oh, life is starting now. And I still have that while with COVID there's nothing going on, and I'm like,
right.
11 o'clock in the evening. I'm ready. This is what's going on today? No, nothing.
So this is perfect. International chats. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you got. You get all dressed up and then go on a computer.
Right.
Yeah.
So when do you sleep then? Do you sleep like normal hours, or are you a second shift sleeper, or like what works best for you?
Great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Second shift sleeper, absolutely. If I actually had this whole period where I didn't have clients and I was just doing music, that I said I'm just going to let myself fall into my own rhythm, which was going to sleep at 3 in the morning and then sleeping for 7 hours until 10. 10 was good. 7 hours is good.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I had this whole evening where there's nobody and you can just do so much work because nobody's like texting you or emailing you, and you can just go. So I got so much done at night, and also I wrote songs at night.
Yeah.
So that's
cool.
that was pretty cool. But yeah, obviously when I have clients, I can't really do that. But it's
yeah, that makes sense.
It's more about when I can get up. Even if I go to sleep early or like what people would consider on time, then if there's nothing actually I have to get up for this, then I just kind of I'm lying in bed because I can't get up and it's too hard, and so around 9:30, 10 I can actually get up. So that's my normal rhythm for getting out of bed.
Which
so
is
I just
actually
went
pretty
back and said,
decent
okay.
for second shift.
For second shift sleeping, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because a lot of people would sleep till 4 or 5,
True.
in the afternoon. So.
Oh yeah, like that. Well, yeah. When I actually when there's live shows again, I will probably be doing that. When I DJ'd, the club was in Belgium. We didn't have like a curfew of the club has to, stop at that time or close at that time.
That's
so.
fun.
So if it was a good night and there was a lot of people, sometimes it was like 7 in the morning. One time we went until 10. So
Wow.
So
wow.
Then and
that's
you
really
sleep like fourth shift that's basically
fourth
what
shift, yeah.
Like another day, basically.
Fourth shift partying, yeah. I think the longest I've gone was 8 a.m. where I was out and then got back, had breakfast, and then finally went to bed at like 9 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
There was one night in college, this is totally tangent and we'll get back to it, but I had one night in college where my friend and I rode our bikes to this like river and saw the sunset. And then we went out and partied all night. And then we rode our bikes to like the same spot and then saw the sunrise.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was
That's great.
We still like, it was one of my favorite like memories because we had so much fun and we were like,
That's good.
it was just innocent fun, you know, like we were out at the bars and stuff, but we ended up making a whole day of it, a whole night of it. So,
Wow.
That's
But
really
yeah.
cool.
but yeah, that's totally tangent. What were we talking about?
Well, I sleep, second shift,
Second
and fourth
sleep,
shift, and
sleeping,
stuff.
yeah.
But let's talk
Singing.
about singing. Let's talk about rejection, because
Yeah, that's important.
that was hard for me. Every single class that I would teach, like before I became a writer, every single class I would teach, I wanted to be like praised and revered. And like that was such an awesome class and it was so great. And if I didn't get that, I felt like a failure. I was young at the time, so it wasn't really reasonable, but I just wanted to be a star and I wanted to be the best. And if I didn't teach very well or nobody said anything or I messed up or whatever, then I just felt like I wanted to quit. It's like all or nothing. And so did you experience that at all when you started to perform?
Well, I think when you're in the music business, rejection is everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
All the time. And the problem with artists is, well, and not the artists, but the problem with the music industry is that the thing we're selling is so close to our hearts. It's practically part of ourselves,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it so hard. I'm not selling a vacuum cleaner that somebody else made. Where there are 10,000 pieces available and the factory can make more if necessary. It's something crafted out of my own ideas and experiences and things I've lived and gone through in life, and it ends up being this reflection of me. And then when people are indifferent or actively this thing, like my show or my song, or it does come on very hard.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah. And what
yeah.
do you do to get past that when that happens?
I really try to just not take it personally, and I very much have the mindset of any news is good news. So if they're talking about me, it means they care enough to talk about me, even if it's in a negative way. It's probably because they're jealous and they want to diss me and just show how much better they are than me. They're still talking about me. So I'm reaching people who can make up their own minds.
Yeah.
That's like we say any publicity is good publicity, or that's what.
Yeah, any publicity is good publicity.
So like if you're in the
Exactly.
magazine about something horrendous, you're still getting publicity and you're still getting your name out there, and suddenly people are going to be like interested in you for
Yeah,
whatever.
you're still in the magazine.
Still in the hey, I made it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really try to do that. And also, yeah, it's a lot more with people online. Obviously, everybody has their opinion on the socials that they actively want to voice, even though they've just seen you for like 1 second. And
Yeah, they don't know any
why do you
context or anything. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it starts with things like, "Ooh, why do you have these stupid lines in your face?" Well, because I think it's cool.
Because I like
So
it.
yeah, because I want to do this, and
Yeah.
that's how I feel inside. So I just try to
And it's
make
your
it.
face. It doesn't hurt.
It's my face.
It doesn't hurt
I can do what I
anybody.
want with it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But like it just starts with stuff like that, and it's just people looking for things to hurt you with, and you really have to. I know it's hard sometimes. You really have to put that to one side and just say, okay, this is just silly, and don't put time in these people because they're just trolls. And it's the real fans that stick around and that say, hey, I was listening to your music today because I had like a bad day and I just wanted a pick me up, so I used your music for that. And that's that's worth so much more. And still, when you see like 10 great comments on a video, but you have one, very bad comment, it's the bad one that sticks in your brain.
Absolutely.
That's such a shame, and I'm very conscious of this, so I actively have to, counteract this. But it's very hard, but still, there's ways.
And obviously, it's worth it to continue. You don't quit. Like I didn't quit either, but sometimes you're like, ugh, I suck at this. But then you get that drive again because it's just sort of within you. You can't fight it, so.
Well, I remember when I first started writing, I started writing before we wrote our book together, and I would submit these things to an old job, like articles and stuff, and I remember someone telling me that it was just, or they didn't tell me, but they wrote to someone in a text that I saw on accident that it was like, oh, this is so bad. And I was like, oh, you didn't tell me this. Like I was still I was just beginning to like, give my writing to other people and stuff. So I was.
And you saw it secondhand, like they didn't
saw it
know,
secondhand.
like,
they weren't giving me critiques. They just said to their friend or whatever, like, oh man, this girl's writing is so bad. I don't know what to say to her. And I'm like, well, okay, and I just never really forgot that. But it also gave me a reason to try to work on my writing because I wanted to, like, I don't know, stick it to them, I guess. I'm like, I want to make this better so that like other people see this and don't think this is just shit.
And I don't think I'm bad. It just maybe you didn't.
I didn't have the skill yet.
Yeah,
Writing is a skill.
Exactly.
You can have raw talent, but you got to work on it and you got to make just keep honing in your craft, I think. And I think it's the same with songwriting too.
Well, I think consider the source. Because
Right.
who was this person? Was this like was this person a writer themselves, or was it like a random person?
I think they were. Yeah. They worked for a company. They weren't like an author of a book, or they weren't like a author of, I don't know.
Even articles or whatever, nothing.
They were, I mean, sort of, for that company. Like it wasn't like a I don't know. I guess he was considered a writer, and I wanted to impress him at the time. But you know what? Looking back at my old stuff, I think he was right. I mean, I was not I didn't know how to put things onto paper in a way that people received well.
Yeah, I think it's not very professional of him to not just say, hey, look, this is what I think of it, and just keep practicing. He could have just said that as well, given you some negative feedback, but points to work on, instead of just going behind your back and saying, this is actually shit, and not even telling you,
Not even telling me. I just, because we were looking at his computer, I'll never forget this, and like, the text message popped up because it was an iMac, and his text was connected to his computer, and I just see the message pop up of saying Katie's like writing is so bad. And I was like, what? Way
You
to
were
cover
sitting
it.
next to him?
I was sitting next to him when this happened. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm like, at least cover
did
up
he
your
say?
text messages.
He just said that this is really Katie's writing is really bad.
So we had a moment where we both kind of realized that I saw it, and then we did it. But I was too afraid to like say something back then. This was a few years back and everything. And then I don't know. There was just a little bit of tension after that.
I bet. Yeah, well, I just say, in these situations, consider the source, especially for musicians.
That's a good point.
It's not because people like music that they're music experts. Everybody likes to think they're a music expert because they like their thing, and they're an expert on the artist that they like. Mm-hmm. But they're not writing music. They're not making music. They're not producing it. They're not putting it out. They're not marketing it. They just don't, they're audience, and it's great if they like your music, but like for the content of it and how it's made and all of these like professional behind the scenes things, take it with a big like truck full of salt. If a fan comes and tells you, I don't really like that song because the intro, this and that. Look, if you're not a singer or a songwriter or somebody in the industry who actually knows what they're talking about yourself, then shut up about my song.
Or go write your
own. You like
own.
it or you don't. Yeah, if you don't like it, then okay, but
write
I'm
your own
not gonna,
song,
I'm not gonna take your feedback about my intro into account if you can't even play guitar or piano or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's just consider the source and try not to take it personally, because everybody has an opinion, and sure, they can have theirs, but that doesn't need to change your mind about what you're doing, or just reflect on you in general. It says more about them than it does about you or your song or your art.
I like it.
That's a good message, I think, for people, because I think we all face rejection at some point, you know, whether you're in a creative field or whether you're just, you know, trying out or not interviewing for a new job or something. Like, I don't know anyone that just has gotten every single job they've ever interviewed for or something like that. Like, sometimes people just have thoughts that don't align with your own, and that's fine.
Well,
you know?
that's a healthy mindset. Yeah, that's part of this podcast is how to have a healthy mindset.
How to get to that point.
Exactly.
Yes, how to get to that mindset.
But it takes work to get there, especially when you're young. I know I was so not confident when I was in my 20s and 30s, you know, but then it got better. Like, now you get to the point where you stop really caring.
Now she loves herself so much.
I do. I compliment myself before anyone else does.
Yeah, it's just, I think
she's
it's
so
true.
pretty.
It is with age that it gets, you know, it just gets better, and you're like, you know, I don't really care about that, you know. I mean, whatever, you know, your opinion is your opinion, and I don't really care. And when you're younger, you care so much about. Oh my God, it's so tiring.
It is.
So yes, to young people, don't care so much, because it really doesn't matter that much. And don't change your idea.
Right.
Katie's only 29, so I would consider that still pretty young. What do you think?
Well, she tells me every day that I'm getting old, so I don't know. I don't know what to believe here.
I don't know. I think that you, with what you've gone through and the last couple of years and with the book and everything, I don't, you know, I think you know what you want now. And I think that has helped you to, you know, be able to express yourself and not to take shit from anyone. Is that just me, or
It's getting
am I
there.
right?
It's getting there, yeah. I would say.
Isn't this great? We got the conversation back about us.
I know. Bringing it back to us, you know, that's the important
I think
stuff.
so.
No, we're just having a conversation.
No,
we're
but
sharing artist
I would
goals.
agree, though. I do think I am getting to that point of not caring what people think. However, it's an adjustment for me, because I did care so much back in the day. And now I'm like, if people could critique... Right. And now if people could critique my writing, I don't know, I just take their critiques for what it is, and if I'll sometimes accept it, and sometimes I just won't change anything, and it doesn't, like, affect me emotionally if someone doesn't like it. You know, like, I've gotten to that point, at least with writing, where I'm like, I know I am a good writer now. I think I've come a long way. I think I've improved. I've taken classes. I've gotten feedback, and I've also gotten rejection, like I mentioned in that first story. So, like, I have that confidence within myself because I've just gone out there and done it, that I feel good about my writing capabilities. Other stuff I'm still working on, but I think it's ongoing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You don't want me to talk about myself more?
I always want that. But so
I'm so pretty. I'm taking one out of
I taught
your
her
book.
that. Don't wait for people to tell you you're pretty. Just tell yourself.
You're, like, really pretty. Dana, have you ever seen Mean Girls?
Pretty.
You're like really pretty too.
True story.
Mean Girls. No, I have not. It is on my list to watch.
I recommend it. It's a funny comedy. It's really goofy, yeah. But that's where that line is from, and I'm trying to teach Mary about pop culture and everything. So
Not getting very far.
No, I'll have to check it out. Being an artist is basically, a lot of people say, oh, and that new song from this and that, and like, we don't have time to watch
Oh yeah.
TV and radio, because we're listening to like music that we specifically turn on that in that moment. So
Well, stuff that inspires you, right?
sometimes. Well, it's sometimes it's a bit weird because they're like, but you're an artist and you don't even know what's playing on the radio. I'm like, no, because I don't have time
Yeah.
to just up on the radio and have a little listen. Because when you're listening to songs, you can't obviously have a radio in the background going. You know, if you're doing other work, you can do that. But yeah, so it's sometimes it's a bit weird. Like, oh, and there's this new thing of this, and there's a new thing on Netflix, and I'm like, I have no clue. I have no clue.
That's why I'm this way.
Because you're an artiste,
Sure.
right?
But so at this stage of your career, what would you say is your biggest passion? Is it in terms of the music? Is it writing? Is it singing? Is it
That's a good question.
producing, performing, or do you need all of it in order to be challenged?
Or is it the marketing?
Well, is it the marketing? No, it's not the marketing. No, it's that's a good question. Obviously, it's a package, and you can't really have one without the other. But what really got me into it in the first place is the live performance element. I'm very much a live animal, and I love being on stage, and that's where I get all my energy, most of my energy, and that's also one of the reasons why COVID has been very, very hard because of all of that. I actually just had a new live show with a band ready just before COVID hit in February 2020, and we were just able to record a promo video for the live, and 2020 was going to be my year because we're gonna have bookings, and now we're nearly end of 2021 and still nothing. So that one is really hard on me.
You guys
I did live streams and stuff like that, but it's really not the same.
You haven't been able to do any live shows since the pandemic started, or has any live shows been able to happen, but that maybe you're not involved in?
Well, there have been live shows, but all of the canceled ones. So all the people that were on the lineup of before and then now are, they're kind of catching up, and everybody that was canceled is now, doing their shows.
Right.
Oh, I see. So it's all backlogged.
Yeah.
Kind of.
There's a huge backlog, and that's a bit of a problem that people sometimes don't really understand. They're like, yeah, but now live shows are back, so why aren't you out playing? It's not that simple, because all of these venues have been closed, and so they're catching up, and they're giving the chance to the people that they had booked 2 years ago first.
It's like wedding venues too, actually.
Yeah, and because still things are being canceled, not everything is able to continue, and so we haven't caught up at all, and we're seeing that these are going to be repercussions that are happening in 2022. So I'm looking at festival lineups and venues that are kind of opening up for new or emerging artists, or people that they haven't had yet, or they don't really know yet, or whatever, only in 2023. So I haven't just lost 2020, I've basically lost 3 years.
Wow.
Just to be able to catch up to what's going on, and that's something that a lot of people don't really who are not in the industry don't realize. And they're, yeah, but just play a show. Well, you need to be booked for the show, and they have like a backlog of 500 artists. So
oh my gosh.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that way.
That it's not just 1 year, it's like several years after this.
For many businesses, for many industries, there's
even
so
my
much
dentist
more.
is backed up, honestly.
Yeah, you can't even get in.
I can't get into my dentist unless it's like 7 months in advance or something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, same problem with me. I can call them and say, hey, I've got this show, and they're like, yeah, but it's we don't have the room, everything is booked, so it'll be and I can't really think that far ahead, so not now.
Right.
That's the message.
And some of the places closed, like Katie's wedding venue closed because of COVID.
It did, yeah.
Like closed.
Closed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, it was a golf course, and the golf course is still open, but it's like the banquet space just wasn't making enough money, and had to close
Yeah,
down.
there's going to be a lot once we come out of COVID and things start opening up again, but like for real, not like for 2 weeks.
Not like a
Uh,
a fake open.
and yeah, a fake open and
100
funds
fake
running
opens.
out. I think we're going to see a lot of places going out of business, so all of those are going to be out of the game as well. And I don't know, I don't know what the market is going to look like. But we'll see. In the meantime, I'm writing. I have my plan to write. I wrote a couple of songs a few months ago, and did some submissions for other things as a songwriter. So that's cool. So I think in the back end, the creative stuff does keep running, although we're not specifically like releasing new music or going on tour. We still have a lot of things to do, so that's fine. It's just a little bit more out of the public eye, and sometimes I feel it's very hard to, like, on the socials, how do you post about this, how do I say this? I just want to get this done so I can move on to the more creative part, which is cool for socials. So yeah, sometimes you have this discrepancy between what we really do the whole day and what is perceived of us. Obviously, it's our own fault if people see it the wrong way because we don't kind of say it or show it. But I think a lot of this is because of the non-transparency of the music industry and the major labels really showing only like the dream part of being an artist.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's what's attractive
So-
and what people like to see. They don't want to see like the grit and the behind the scenes
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, because they want to feel like, I love Ariana Grande, for example, and I'm like, and I buy her songs because I kind of want to be her. But if they knew how much other shit she had to do, then they might not want to be her. So they only show like the nice parts and
where she's got all of
and-
her makeup on and looks all cute and like
yeah,
just
where
sings out a
everybody's
beautiful
doing
voice. Yeah.
for her. Yeah, and like in the video or in the we're at a red carpet now, or this is
What a
we're about to
glamorous
go on
life,
stage,
yeah.
or exactly. But the rest, all the things around it before she actually gets to that red carpet, or before the video is done, before the song is written, or even in between. I mean, it's sometimes, well, obviously she's at a major label, so for them they have a whole team to do that. But as an independent artist,
You have to do.
Yeah,
you have to
there's-
play all those hats or wear all of them.
yeah, there's definitely some just days, weeks sitting in front of the computer, mailing people, looking things up, and trying to rewrite your bio for the 100th time.
So,
Not very exciting.
do you have times when you're booked, like back before COVID, where you're booked for a bunch of events and you just don't feel up to it? Like you're tired, or you don't feel well, or you have a stomach ache? I'm imagining people do. I think about like Oprah or Ellen DeGeneres or whatever. Like they got to get out there every day. They must have bad days, but they somehow, I guess, what is that, putting on your game face, or whatever? Do you
Show
experience
must go
that
on.
where you just don't want to go? You're like, ugh, I'm not up for it today, or is that not something you've ever experienced?
She's a live animal, so
Exactly.
she probably lives for it.
Yes, I do. I get more excited than not, and I do take a lot of care of myself to be able to do the shows or to be able to be present. So specifically, for example, I wouldn't drink alcohol like the day or even a couple of days before, just so that I don't have the repercussions, that I sleep well before and all of that. I take super care of my voice and everything, in the weeks before, so I don't get ill, or I don't get a cold or anything. And obviously sometimes you get a cold, but if you've been training your voice regularly and you've done all the rehearsals and all the vocal exercises that you had to, then having a cold doesn't really stop you. It has to really, really be bad for you to not be able to do your show that you should, know by heart, like from back to front to back, anything. So it becomes muscle memory, and maybe if you really have a bad cold, you wouldn't be talking so much in between, or you would like cut a couple of things and say, okay, that song, maybe we won't do that song this time, or I don't know. You can kind of adapt to the situation. But yeah, normally I do prepare well in advance to just be able to be there and to do the best job that I can do.
That's
Yeah.
that's interesting. That,
Because I do want to do the live show.
right.
You live for it.
And I guess, yeah, your physical health plays a lot into that. So do you have to do like workouts to make sure that you're like, you have enough energy on the stage, or is it, and like eat well, or is that part of your regimen?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. Actually, when we had the live show that was ready, we did the promo video and everything, and I did some fitness, but I wasn't super fit at that moment. And even just the video, I mean, it was so tiring. I just said, okay, we've been at this for like a whole afternoon, so that's not usually what you do. Usually your set is like 45 minutes to an hour, or if it's really long, it's an hour and a half, and that's it. So that's doable, but I just said I really have to do something. So I started during COVID, actually, I started this whole fitness thing. And so I do like a high protein lifestyle with whey protein and everything that I eat, so that I can just stay fit and do the fitness that I need to indeed have high recuperation skills, kind of basically. So it's really just to get the stamina up. To be able to sing and move on stage for as long as I need to.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that I've been working on that during COVID, actually.
Nice.
The muscle memory thing, again, with my fitness career, there's times when I just feel awful. I have a bad stomach ache or a headache or whatever, but then I just get up there and I start doing the familiar warm-up, and it's like your body just takes over. You don't, like the muscle memory comes out, and suddenly you feel better, or you get through it, or whatever, because you built that base of muscle memory. So I like the way that you referred to that as more of an overall concept, not just muscle memory, but psychological muscle memory too.
Oh, absolutely. And also the voice box and the throat. That part of your body also has a muscle memory.
Okay.
So it's really handy if you have to really rehearse your live shows very much. And I think that's also something, that's also one of the untransparent things. And everybody's like, oh, and this artist was on stage, and they have the feeling that everything that they're saying in that moment or doing is totally in the moment. Sometimes things do happen a little bit, or every time something happens, but it's a little bit different every time. But most of the time, moves, speeches, and things that happen, like, talking to a person in the audience, it's all rehearsed, but like a gazillion times.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously, it's going to be another person in the audience every time, or they say that person now, and the other time they go to the left and say that person. But the routine is there, because also you have a specific set time that you can't go over. So it is timed, and you get in your in-ears, you get messages saying, okay, now we're gonna, the start of the new song is now 3, 2, 1, and it goes. So you need to have your talk done by the time that the countdown starts, or something like that. So that's something also that I actually learned by having a show now with a band, because I used to do some things more acoustic and on my own, or with just a guitarist. But now that we actually have a band, we work with in-ears and backing tracks and everything. And you get a lot of cues from there. Because, ever wonder how the singer knows when the song starts and he has to actually sing immediately. How he knew that? That's because there's like a countdown already in his ear going, and he knew that it was then.
Interesting.
So yeah, all of that stuff.
That is interesting.
It's a lot of fun to find out. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are industry secrets or whatever.
I didn't really think of it. Yeah, I didn't really think about that before. And then when I was working on my live show with my band, who also are my producers, and they also are kind of show designers, shall we call them? So they do this for a living, and they know what they're doing, and they do it also for a couple of other artists. And I'm like, yeah, but how do we coordinate that then we're doing this? And they're like, oh, but you get cues in your ear. I'm like, whoa. Of course, it's so logical, but you just don't think that.
You get cues, and they anchor people like on the news. They get cues too. you
Yeah.
know, where they suddenly
yeah.
have to, okay, go to commercial, you know, kind of thing.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it though with your industry. Nobody cues.
I've
me.
seen
and
videos
it's
of
all
like
pre-programmed.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I've seen videos
Yeah,
on
so-
YouTube of like, this is what One Direction hears in their headsets as before they're about to sing, or
Yeah.
whoever, you know, like just like goofy videos like that and stuff. But so
Yeah, and it's really cool to have that because and the others hear it too, or they have their specific cue as well. Because the drummer, he only has a click, and he has like a couple of countdowns for different things, but he has no way the same thing that I have. So yeah, it's pre-programmed, and in rehearsal, it's also, you know, if you keep like missing that one beat, you can say, okay, let's change this cue to like one count before or to something else, so I don't miss that because I keep missing it. And so yeah, you can just do it that way, and it's a lot of fun because, like I said, you're rehearsing your show, you know exactly what's gonna come, you have your cues, and you can just make it like the best experience for your fan ever. And it's really, I think it's so much fun to do it that way. Because you still have the audience and their energy, and you still ask them questions, and you still have moments where you do your speech and tell them about what this song is about or why you wrote it and get their feedback. Or like just take the mic and point it at them, and then they can sing it for you.
is that, I've always heard that feels good when people sing back your own songs. Has that happened to you? Or
Yeah.
And how does that feel like when the audience is singing your songs back at you?
It's crazy.
Like,
It's really crazy. It's really.
I think I would tear
it's
up.
amazing.
I would tear up a little bit or something. It's just that would be so overwhelming. I mean, even for us, when we had our book talks, when we had people that came up to us and were like, "Oh my God, you're Katie and you're Mary," and like they like freaked out and hugged us, and we're like, "What?" You know, like this was so
It
unexpected.
really mattered to them to know us, you know, and
Yeah.
know our material.
Because they heard,
you know.
they saw our art that we put out, and they really connected
Well,
with
that's
it.
pretty cool. Well, I wouldn't say tear up because you have so much adrenaline in that moment that you really have to, you know, dig deep and go far, or let yourself go completely to have that happen. Unless it's like a really sad song and you kind of prepare yourself before you sing it, because you really do need to get into that emotion. Sometimes that's hard. I mean, thinking about it now and talking about it, I did have one time where I cried through the whole song.
Wow.
And it wasn't people singing it back to me, but I was singing a song, and I had written it about my family, and there were family members in the audience, and so I kind of started my little explanation with, and this is about, you know, my family, and people who are here will know what I mean. And then I get into it, and I just started sobbing like in the first chorus, and it just didn't stop. And at the end of the song, I sang the whole song, but at the end it was like it was awful.
But I feel
was
like
awful.
if I was in the audience of
yeah.
watching that and listening to that, I would probably think that was the best song. At least from like
I don't know.
the shows that I've seen. Or
When
maybe
they-
not.
when they really get touched like that.
Well, I don't know. There were some people who were like, "What is going on? You know, what's happening? What's wrong with her?"
Pull it
You know,
together.
I couldn't keep it together. I really tried. I just couldn't keep it together. I had to stop, and I just quickly went. It was in a bar, so it wasn't very large audience, but I just
Okay.
quickly went to the toilet just to compose myself, and then I came back out and I said, okay, look, and I just explained, and I said, I'm sorry that I couldn't keep it together, but this is why, because it's just because that song means so much to me, and I know that it means so much to my family, that situation that we were in as well. So and then I just continued my set, so that's fine. It's just, yeah.
I think
I
people
don't
would have
know.
liked seeing something like that, because when I think humans connect to other human connection, where they see real emotions coming out, they can understand that and like empathize with it, and
When it's raw like
when
that.
it's raw, yeah. Like I think of, so speaking of Ariana Grande, when she did that concert for the Manchester bombing, did you see
Yeah.
that? She sang "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" and like burst into tears, and the whole crowd went wild because it was emotional, and like all of them were emotional with her. So I feel like with your fans, especially if they know your music and everything, they're probably thinking the same thing, that like, that, wow, I'm really connecting with this person on stage, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think for her, I mean, everybody knew why why we were there and why she was doing that song as well.
Right.
And absolutely the connection is there. For me, the thing was that half of the audience was a new audience for me. So they didn't
Okay.
know me, they didn't know my songs.
I guess the
And
context
that
is
was
a little
bit
different.
weird. Yeah, it was different. So they weren't specifically there for me. And so, yeah, but I think I learned a lot from that experience to know how deep I should go for the performance of the song, and where I need to kind of say, okay, I need to prepare myself because like my mom is going to be there or something like that. I don't know. And it makes it super hard for somebody or who you've been writing about, or who knows the behind the scenes of things. Even my best friend, when I sing certain songs and she knows what they're about, and I kind of scan the audience and I come up to her and you kind of,
Yeah.
so I need to, I know now that I need to work on those things, and that I have to be careful of who I look at when I'm singing a certain song.
Exactly.
No, that's important. Or when you give speeches or anything that you're like facing the public, you need to
Yeah.
control it so that you don't
So you can at least be coherent.
so you can be coherent and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like this question, Katie, that you
Oh wait, you're gonna compliment me?
said. If you could go back in time to when you first started out as an artist
Oh, yeah,
and
that is a
tell
good one.
yourself a piece of advice, what would it be? That was a really good.
That was a good one,
She
yeah.
compliments herself. Oh yeah.
It is a good question.
Yeah.
It is a great question. I would say to myself, trust your gut. My gut basically tells me, trust no one. Don't trust this person.
Just yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, because I mean, there are a lot of sharks in the
Oh, for sure.
music industry. A lot, yeah. I mean, a lot. And I have also fallen for scams that have cost me a lot of money, actually. Money that I could have used for, new songs, etc., or a video, or, just other stuff that would be more valuable to me now than just throwing it away to somebody who kind of said, "Oh, but I'm a manager," and I bragging about his or her connections and how much they would be able to do for you, and just falling into that trap of yeah, going with that.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that I would definitely tell myself, that watch out for these people. And false expectations, really, about what it would be like, because even if you're in music and you sing, and like when I was a kid, I was performing on TV. People used to have, well, before that I had let me give an example. So before you're ever on TV, you have like an expectation of, oh wow, what it is like to be on set, you know. And then you arrive on set, and it turns out that there's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of nothingness, and it's really not glamorous. And it's a bit like that. Yeah, so it's a bit
Interesting.
like, okay, um, you know, you come into the music business and you sing, but you've never really written a song or produced a song to its end and marketed it, and you don't really know the whole process. And what you also see from the major labels is like, oh, you know, I wrote a song yesterday and tomorrow we're going to put it out. And, you know, 2 days ago I was in the video shoot and ta-da, it's all here. And all of that is just not
True.
true.
Yes.
That's not how it works.
Yes.
It's like the song has been ready for 6 months already, and the
Wow.
video nearly as well. But because people are like, well, obviously, if you're Taylor Swift, things can go a little bit faster. Yes,
Which
you
I
know,
am a fan of her 10-minute All Too Well. I don't know if you've heard it, but
oh no, I haven't. I'll have a listen to that
I mean,
song.
if you have
But
time, obviously you have busy schedule and stuff, but
no, because I'm really behind on newsletters, and I follow all of these artists, and I have all of her newsletters like, oh, you know, the new Red is out and everything. So I want to listen to all of her versions, but I just haven't, you know, had the time yet.
Right.
But I will definitely look that one up.
yeah, it's
And
very
so this
good
is
lyrically.
also
Yeah, but so what?
well, there you go.
What were you saying?
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, I just didn't realize that there would be so much misogyny and so much scamming going on,
Oh,
you know, in the music business. There's so much to know about just being an artist and all of the facets of it, not even being an independent artist, but even if you're a singer-songwriter at a major label, you know, there's publishing. What is publishing, you know? There's copyright law. There's a difference between publishing rights and your master rights, and what do labels actually do. And if you step into that world kind of thinking, oh, but you know, I know that, but you don't really, do you? You know. And the thing is, be honest with yourself. If you don't know something, just look it up and you know, get educated, because there's so many things that people will hunt you down for, and they're like, you know, these sharks know, you know, they can smell it. They can smell it, that you're like, oh, you don't really know, so we can scam her for a couple of months or years. And
Especially because you're so
you know,
passionate about your material
yeah,
that you think on emotion more than logic, because it's just it comes
exactly.
from passion. Yeah. And so when somebody says, I can make you a huge star, you're like, oh, finally,
yeah,
you know.
see your name in lights, kind of.
Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
trust your gut, basically.
That's good
Trust
advice.
your gut. Yeah,
But in order
yeah.
to trust your gut, you need to have time to be in touch with your gut. And that goes back to having some of the balance and some of the space and some of the healthy habits that allow you to have a clear head and sleep well and, you know, strength and all of that. Because I find when I get all I start making really bad decisions because I'm not in touch with my center. I've just, it's all been external input, and I haven't had time to say, hello, what do you think, you know? And so that's when it's like, okay, back off here, and I just need like a half a day to just sit with my thoughts without any of you people doing that.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
So-
No, I think that's totally true, and I think that's also, if you don't know about your own industry, because the music industry is so, you know, weird, and it changes all the time. Well, definitely now, and it's not like it used to be. So you used to have like the just the labels, and you used to get kind of discovered. Now you can do it all yourself. And with that comes that there are a lot of people who just prey on kids with stars in their eyes, basically,
Yeah.
and promise them a lot of stuff, and you get your hopes up and you buy into it. And it's literally buying into it because they want to get paid. So yeah, you pay them, and then you get a couple of conf calls maybe, and nothing really happens. But then at the end, when the next payment is up, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, oh, we need to get this done. Let's go for the next payment for the next 3 months or whatever, or next month, because yeah, there's this thing coming up and really need to get that. That's a big red flag. And I've had that 100 times, and I still like, oh yeah, because you get into this enthusiastic thing, like, oh, you get your hopes. I'm like, oh, now finally something is going to happen, but it's not, because they're just telling you what you want to hear, because you've been talking to them all this time and saying what you want, and the first thing that they do is kind of say, okay, we're going to fill in this thing, and why don't you write down what you hope to achieve, or what you this and that. And so you just give it to them on a platter, and they just talk
say it right back to
you about that. Yeah. And then every time you just, and you keep paying them. That was my problem. And I haven't had that with like one person. I've had that with 3 people. So I'm like, how stupid can I be to do that 3 times? No more.
Well,
but still, you just get your hopes up.
3 times is
maybe.
the anti-charm. Yeah.
Yeah, or 3
Maybe.
times you strike out after 3. I don't know. But
There's some saying that goes with that.
With 3s, 3 wishes. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I
something
guess
in 3.
every independent artist, has had to go through the drag of signing their first bad publishing deal or something. And it's only when you get out of that, or when you've done that you start to kind of educate yourself and realize what you've done, and like, oh shit, now I have to get out of this, and now I actually know what I'm doing. Now I know, with the next deal that comes around, what the questions are that I have to ask, what I want to get out of it, and all of that. So if you don't know about the thing first, you can't possibly make up your mind or know if it's good or not, what they're saying to you. So that's also one of my big tips to anybody. Educate yourself. There's so much out there, but just look at it for yourself, and don't start paying somebody to tell you, because they won't. They just want you to pay them.
Okay. So I always think that having a life of passion and no real hours, where your work life doesn't really ever end or start. It's just sort of when it happens, or when you have like a client that you have to do something for, or whatever. For me, it's worth it. Like, I've never been able to do anything else. Like, Katie is being like a grown-up and working a regular full-time job.
I am.
And I'm really proud of her, but I could never do that for long, because I just couldn't. I just didn't, or whatever. And there's a lot of problems that come with that, too, because you don't have the same kind of stability or security, steady paycheck, all of that. But at this point in my life, I couldn't see any other way of doing it. And the rewards of being your own creator, your own boss, I guess, if you want to put it that simply, for me has been, I'd rather be broke and do it this way. Not that I am broke, but if it were to come to that, than to, and I know your goal isn't to work in an office for the rest of your life. So, but
I'm comfortable in it.
Yeah, you're doing.
I'm actually, I find a lot of satisfaction in what I do, and it involves writing, and I'm creative in it, and
that part is good. Yeah, you're learning a lot. But anyway, I
understand the mindset.
About you, though. Do you ever think, oh, I should have become a teacher? I should have become an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer. Do you ever think that?
Well, no, because I am.
You're all of those things.
I went to college. I have 2 degrees, and I started work, and I was in the corporate world for a long time, and I still am. But now it is as an independent, as a freelance consultant, it's on my own terms. And I think that's really what I needed, because I don't see myself indeed not, doing an office job 9 to 5 with obviously steady pay, but being like somebody's employee. Um, and that's also because I know what's going on behind the scenes there, with all the, the performance cycle, and, the reviews, and let's, every year we look at how you're doing. And it's a very corporate and multinational thing. Obviously, if you're working in some other kind of business, that might not be the case for you, but normally reviews come back every year. And I'm like, okay, this is a bit tiring, and I don't really want to do this. But then there was an opportunity, 8 years ago already. I've had my own company for 8 years. Yay!
Oh,
Wow.
So
8 years.
where I decided to step out of corporate world and still have clients, corporate clients, but really be my own boss, and indeed be able to maybe change more than you would as an employee. Or, when I'm done with this project, that's enough with this company now. Let's go to another one, or let's find another client. So I think that is a very good way to work for me, as a freelancer, and not be bound to one specific place, because I know from experience that yes, I did get bored, kind of, because you learn in your new job, and you get to a certain place, and then you're like, okay, but is this it? Is this what I'm going to do for the next, 20 or 30 years? Only this? I need it to move more and to change more, and different environments. And I kind of solved that problem by going freelance.
Ah.
And so, like, a freelancer CV is not like an employee CV. If you change too much as an employee, they're like, "Why have you been changing so much?" As a freelancer, it's good because you're solving all these problems for all these different clients, and the more clients that you've had, the more references and the better that you actually are at your job. So the more clients want you to come and work with them. To do their process improvement, or improve their business, or solve any issues that they might have. So I think that was for me key, and I'm so glad that I took that opportunity back in the day. And that was actually because there was something in music that I absolutely wanted to be able to work on, and you had to be a freelancer. So I had to kind of start my own company to be able to even get that project.
Got it.
Huh.
Got it.
And
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
and I was saying, oh, I was, I loved my job at the time. I loved the company where I was working, and I really loved my job. I had a lot of responsibilities, and I loved it. I was, doing a great job. Wonderful. But this opportunity came along, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? And I just thought, look, there's always going to be an excuse not to do it, so I'm just going to do it. And I did. And so now, I have a successful business, and therefore I have funding also for my music, which sometimes I can just say, okay, now I'm this project is done. I'm not going to go find a new client now. I'm going to take a couple of months or a year or even more to only work on my music right
Nice.
now.
That's great.
So that gives me the freedom to do that.
And I think what you
That's
said
nice, yeah.
about the big, huge international companies is different than working for a family-based company like you do,
Yeah.
because you have some freedom, you have creativity. You're not just one of 1,000 people that do the
Yeah, I'm
exact
not just a
same
number.
thing. Yeah, and so that's what gives you satisfaction.
Yeah.
With that.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that working for multinationals, sometimes it gets, because everything is so specialized, so many people work there, and you really get pushed into a niche with what you're doing every day. I think working at a smaller company, or a family-run company, indeed gives you more, you're doing more things. It's broader because
yeah.
there's not so many people doing them, so you can kind of touch on a lot of things, and
You wear a lot of
also get quite
hats.
some responsibility
Yeah.
within that
That's
company.
good.
Yeah, you wear a lot of hats within a smaller company too. That's for sure. Yeah. And I think it's just like the culture isn't as like, okay, go, go, go. You're treated more as like a human, I guess. I've never worked for
Yeah.
a big company, but so I don't really know the difference, or like a corporate company or anything. But that's what I've heard, is that it's like, it's just, you're all about the actions, and it's not really like whatever makes you as a person, but
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
just a
no,
number,
that's
like
true.
you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just to know. Yeah.
So, gosh, you do so much. How do you ever see your man?
Good question.
I mean,
Well, we do a lot of things together because he's also my photographer and my cameraman.
oh, well, there you go.
Oh, cool.
That's the key.
Yeah. Find someone in the industry.
So,
Not-
well, he didn't used to do that because he's an IT programmer, an IT developer. That's how I should say it, an IT developer. And because of that, he kind of got interested in drones.
Oh, okay.
And then, because drones are obviously not just flown, but they film things, then he got interested in cameras for underneath his drones. And that became a whole spiral where he actually got interested in videography and photography and all of that. And in the meantime, I was working on my music career, and we kind of met and said, oh, well, if you're interested in that, why don't you do my photo shoots? And in the beginning, he was like, oh, I don't know if I would do a good job. And I said, well, let's just do one. And it was great. And we've been doing it ever since. And obviously, yeah, you live, you learn. And we've got new tools, and we need a screen. We need a screen for down where we're doing the photo thing, and we need that program because the picture goes directly from the camera to the big screen, and we can see it if the details are good. So stuff like that you kind of learn. And in the meantime, we kind of in our living room have a whole setup of a professional studio
Oh, wow.
where we do all the stuff,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. And it just kind of dripped
Your
in,
lives,
it just
it
kind of
really
one
mesh
little
really
thing.
well. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Aw.
Like, oh, we need new lighting because our lighting isn't good. And then you buy lighting. And in the meantime, we have backdrops, we have lighting, we have ring lights, we have all kinds of cameras and video cameras.
Sounds like our podcast
so
studio
yeah,
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we kept
We got-
We have two big lights on us right now, yeah.
Yeah, this camera, that camera. Now we need a battery pack. Oh, now we need a fan on the camera so
Because
it
the
doesn't
camera gets
overheat.
hot, yeah. They do
But it's-
just keep
but it-
adding.
exactly.
It's really
So it
creative.
just grows.
Yeah.
Organically. And in the meantime, all my videos that I've released in the last 2 years, all of them I've directed and edited all myself, all on my own.
Wow.
And
That's hard work.
Yeah, I think
That takes a lot of time.
it is.
Because you have to like come up with the concept, and then you have to like make sure that it plays out the way that you see it in your head, and then you have to act
which
in
it never does.
Right, yeah. Like you're doing everything, and that's just got to be so draining. But also in a good
No,
way,
well,
Hey,
Yeah, well, it's creative, and so that's where I get my energy. So it's like, oh yeah, and solving a problem. Oh my God, I mean, my acting is shit in this scene. So, are we gonna solve this because we don't have any other footage? Why don't we have any other footage? First question. Next time we need other footage, and then so you
Yeah,
just
you learn from it.
and then and you solve it. So if you look back at videos of mine, like Time Flies is one of my videos. That's the first one that I did myself. It was actually very, very ironic because it came out in September 2019, and
wow.
it was about a pandemic.
No way.
what?
Yeah, I kind of foresaw this whole situation
So
in that video.
this whole thing is
kind
your
of saying
fault?
humanity.
Your
It's
fault.
not my fault. I was trying to warn everyone.
Yeah. She's the one that created it.
No.
So yeah,
Trying to prevent
that was
it.
pretty cool.
Oh, we tried to
You know what?
prevent
We
it.
need
To,
to,
that
we
is
need to
fun.
link that. We need to link that video. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of funny that
I'd like to hear that. And yeah, I mean, what? Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners would like to watch that too.
Yeah, I'd like to watch that for sure. You know what? I have to just take a call real quick. My husband is in the ICU,
Well, how about we just
and
Oh,
or
yes.
should we?
let's just I think we're
Okay.
probably about done anyway. But
Yeah, he's got really bad cancer. Yeah, from
I
back chemo.
heard,
He's still
yeah.
alive, but now because of chemo, his platelets dropped to such a dangerously low level. He started to bleed internally, and so he's
Oh
been
my God.
getting platelet and blood transfusions since yesterday morning. And he just
Okay.
texted me, so I should get back to him.
That's okay. I mean, I think
I guess he's still alive because he texted me.
oh my gosh, the dryness as you said that.
You get to
I
you get to the
I
point.
love that you're taking it
You
well.
get to that point. Seriously, this guy has died for 6 minutes and come back. And he's got multiple major life-threatening problems, and he keeps going. So I'm kind of to the point, like, all right, let's just keep going until you don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it could happen at any minute. I guess
He's got
that's,
heart
yeah. If you
problems.
get a text, then that's
If
good.
I get a
right?
text saying I'm dead now, that was pretty morbid. No more
Notice how
secrets.
neither of us are sure how to react to it.
Yeah, I love the sign. That's
Oh,
amazing.
should we show her how it flashes?
Yo, do you have the moat?
Does it flash?
does.
Can you change the color?
No, and I wish
Oh
we
my
could.
God.
Wouldn't that have been great?
That would have been
But we,
another thing.
let's see, we can make it brighter. Is it getting brighter? No.
Yeah, it is.
Now it's getting brighter.
Oh,
Okay. Then we can
I'm looking at it in the
make
wow.
and then we can speed it up so it goes really, really, really fast or slows down.
welcome to the Albrecht Authors Strip Club.
And I'm seeing in the meantime, I'm like getting whiter and whiter on this video. What is it with my white balance? It's horrible.
With your what?
It's horrible. My white balance. My camera
Oh,
is
your
just.
white balance.
I need to turn off the automatic white balance, and yeah, it's. So I'm just like I'm like a vampire now.
You are very,
Flashing.
I thought you,
very ivory. Just
Yeah,
beautiful
I am.
ivory skin. You want to see that?
trying to
Because
find
I'm
another word for
normally
white.
Ivory.
I'm actually very tanned. Well, I'll get. You can't see it. I'm very tanned.
That's
but
strange.
I'm.
You still
Wow.
look good.
Oh my God, it's getting worse.
Yeah, you
Okay,
still look
sorry.
good.
Well, yes, thank you, but still, I'm a
it back
bit
down.
vampire-y.
Turn it back down.
Is it too much? But I feel like
That was kind of. This is what it was. Yeah, kind of.
but
Well, you're welcome.
for that delight of a show, yes.
She's like, I think I'm gonna have a seizure.
No, I want one. I
So
want one.
Etsy, we can send you the link if you want
Yeah, they have a
just
whole
want-
bunch of people that make them.
on Etsy, and then you just pick your font.
Yeah, I've
and
seen
pick
some ads.
Yeah, and it's on it's mounted on a pretty plastic here, and it's got a cord going down, and it's really well done. Yeah.
Yeah, because actually, I also have a podcast that's called Unboxing Women,
right.
and we
We follow that Instagram
the
page.
logo is kind of a light like that. It's like the logo, so we actually should just get the logo in lights.
There
We
you go.
should, yeah. Go
Yeah.
along with the brand.
Yeah.
We like to call it the strip club.
Yeah, I mean, no more secrets are all the
Especially when
secrets.
it's flashing.
When it's flashing, and this is a main road right out here, and it glows all the way out from the window across the street. Like it's like, what is going on in that place now?
And it's kind of like at night there's no one here, so it looks like the kind of place
place
that
to
might be
be.
A strip club,
strip club
or
or
a cigar
something.
club or something,
yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. I'm
Okay.
Why
so-
white balance?
okay.
Yes, no, just getting whiter and whiter.
Happens to the best of us, honestly. I think that we're kind of close to wrapping up anyway, but
Send us a bunch of links and
Okay.
send us that video about the pandemic.
Yes.
And let
Yes.
us know what else we can do for you. And if you'd like
Yes,
to,
definitely.
I would just love to have you on like every season. Just to catch up.
just to
and
catch up,
talk
see how
and-
you're doing in life, you know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think we have. I
Aw.
think we have good mindsets. The three of us. We're healthy. We're happy to be alive. We're hopeful and positive despite
Yeah.
all the crap. I mean, there's a lot of crap.
Exactly.
But yet I'm
There
still
is.
pretty hopeful. I got my my guy going, and it's a lot, and
Yeah.
but it's still I'm a very hopeful person, and I like talking with other hopeful people, And if you spread
Yeah.
that joy, it really helps other people get uplifted. And so we could just get on the tube and spread joy.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I'm in. I'm Merry
And it's
Christmas.
spelled
I'm in. Oh
it's
God,
spelled-
I need to sort out my lighting.
spelled Mary. Merry Christmas.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Obviously.
I don't know. All these years they've spelled it the wrong way.
Well, no, I wanna thank you guys. I mean, yeah, I would love
To
to.
come back on?
What is it
Now
off?
I turned it
Oh.
off.
Yeah, it's still pink.
Ah, I
but-
see. It's still
Yeah,
nice.
it's good that way too.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, we'll have you back
And
on. Think
I'd
of-
love
think
to,
of more
I'd
topics.
love to.
I mean, there's plenty of topics
Yeah.
just talking
think
about,
there's
but
endless, yeah.
definitely think about your resilience. This is our big thing: is like what humans can conquer, how they can overcome things, how they can drive forward to reach goals, how they can help others to do the same. Resilience. I love the human spirit when it's put to good use. I love the human resilience. I even love the physical resilience of the human body, and those are the kinds of things that you portray, I think, to us and probably everyone else. And so think about things that you've achieved through your life, and just stuff that you've gotten through, like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that, or stuff that you want to do, or somebody that tell a story, somebody that was just like, I can't believe they survived that kind of thing. And that's the big thing is the resilience is what I really like to talk about. And I'm pretty fucking resilient,
Fuck yeah. Just trying to drop one F-bomb before the end of the show, right?
Fucking COVID.
Indeed.
All right, Dana
Well,
Rexx.
thanks,
Thank
Dana.
you so much.
It's
We'll be
always
in
a
touch.
pleasure.
Okay, and we'll send you the link when this is
Yes.
up. This will be airing Monday.
Yeah.
What is today? Oh,
Oh, that
Yeah.
fast? Wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
fast.
it'll be airing Monday. It might be.
We had schedule conflicts and stuff, so that we had to rearrange some stuff and everything. So
But they're going to get it done by then. So we'll send you the information.
Wow.
And I mean, you can get it too, but I think it'll be like if it's 7 a.m. our time, it would be later in the day for you on Monday, like whatever.
Yeah. No, but I'll definitely repost anything that I see pass by and let everybody on my socials know that they have to go and listen.
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for
Be
having
well.
me.
It's always a pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
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 Bye.